So there I was, in sunny Spain, ready to conquer the world, or at least the hotel pool. You see, I had this vision of myself, a debonair traveler, gliding into the water with the grace of an Olympic swimmer. I was convinced I was about to have my own Baywatch moment, minus the red swimsuit and the slow-motion run. I will use clips to illustrate what happened. Now, to set the scene, the pool was shimmering in the afternoon sun, surrounded by sunbathers soaking up the rays. A perfect audience for my upcoming aquatic spectacle. I sauntered up to the pool's edge, confidence oozing from every pore. I took a moment to adjust my sunglasses, give a nonchalant nod to the spectators, and prepared to dive in. But here's the thing about confidence, it's great until it's not. And it definitely wasn't when I launched myself into the pool, only to realize, midair mind you, that the water was about as deep as a kiddie pool. I plunged in, fully clothed, and resurfaced, spluttering and gasping to the sound of surprised gasps and a round of applause. The aftermath was a spectacle in itself. Picture this. At this point, I won't even show my real face. I'm drenched, trying to maintain a shred of dignity while dragging myself out of the pool. The sunbathers were no longer just soaking up the rays, they were also soaking up the entertainment, their laughter echoing around the pool area. In the end, I took a bow, because when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? And when life gives you a pool that's too shallow for a dramatic dive, you make a memorable splash. I squelched my way back to my sun lounger, leaving a trail of water behind me. I spent the next hour trying to dry off and salvage my pride, all while nursing a bruised ego and a slightly sprained ankle. And that, my friends, is why you always check the pool depth before attempting a dramatic dive. Moving on. Ever tried using a translation app in a foreign country? Yeah, they're not always as helpful as you'd think. Picture this. You're in a quaint Italian restaurant, the waiter approaches, and you decide to order in Italian using your trusty translation app. You confidently say, "Vorrei un gatto nel mio piatto," expecting a delicious plate of pasta. The waiter's eyebrows shoot up, he looks horrified and replies, "Signore, we do not serve cats here." You quickly realize you've just asked for a cat in your plate, not cat-shaped pasta. Talk about a catastrophe. Or how about that time you were in Japan, trying to compliment your host's home? You wanted to say, "Your house is beautiful," but your app had other plans. You ended up saying, "Your horse is beautiful." The host, understandably confused, just smiled and nodded, probably wondering why you were complimenting his non-existent equine. And let's not forget the infamous Spanish incident. You were at a supermarket and you wanted to ask where the soap was, but instead of saying jabon, you said jamon. The store clerk, looking rather puzzled, led you to the meat section, presenting you with a fine selection of hams. You had to wash your hands with a slice of ham that day, didn't you? Then there was that time in Germany when you thought you were asking for directions to the train station, Bahnhof, but actually ended up requesting a bunny hop. The kind stranger then proceeded to hop around like a bunny, much to your bewilderment and the amusement of passers-by. These translation fails are more common than you'd think, providing some of the best travel memories and stories to share. They remind us that language is a tricky thing, full of nuances, and sometimes our attempts to navigate it can lead to hilarious misunderstandings. So, the next time you're in a foreign country, trying to communicate in a different language, remember this. Translation apps are not foolproof, and when in doubt, just point at the menu and hope for the best. Think you've got the perfect travel souvenir? Wait until you hear this. Imagine strutting through a bustling foreign market, eyes wide and wallet ready. You're on the hunt for that one-of-a-kind memento, something that screams, "I've been somewhere exotic and here's the proof." You spot it, a charming, rustic artifact, an enigma wrapped in local culture. You haggle, you win, and you're the proud owner of a unique piece of heritage, or so you think. Fast forward to your homecoming party, the house is filled with friends, family, and that sweet, sweet smell of curiosity. You unveil your trophy, the room fills with gasps, laughter erupts, and your cheeks flush a shade of red that would make a tomato jealous. Why? Well, let's just say your charming, rustic artifact isn't a symbol of cultural heritage, but rather an object used for, well, less sophisticated purposes. Your mother is choking on her tea, your father is trying to explain it away as modern art, and your best friend is on the floor, laughing so hard, tears are streaming down their face. Your little niece innocently asks if it's a new pet toy, and you, my friend, are wishing the ground would open up and swallow you whole. The punchline? You thought you'd bought a handcrafted vintage music instrument native to the region. The reality? You're now the proud owner of a beautifully carved toilet plunger. Yes, you heard that right, a toilet plunger. The locals must still be laughing about the clueless tourist who bought their cultural artifact. So, the moral of the story? Always ask what that souvenir actually is before you buy it, because you never know. You might just end up with an unforgettable souvenir, just not the kind you were expecting. And remember, what might seem like a priceless artifact in a foreign land could turn out to be the butt of the joke at your welcome home party. When traveling, it's important to respect local customs. But sometimes, well, it doesn't quite go as planned. Let me set the scene for you. Picture this, a buzzing market in the heart of Marrakesh, Morocco. I'm there, trying to blend in to become one with the locals. Sounds easy, right? Well, not so much. There's this traditional dance happening right in the middle of the square, and I, ever the adventurous spirit, decide to join in. Only problem? I have the rhythm of a wooden plank. So, there I am, flailing around in what I think is time to the music, when all of a sudden I trip over my own feet and tumble right into a cart of oranges. Oranges everywhere, and me sprawled out in the middle of it all. The locals, bless them, burst out laughing. Then there was the time in Japan, where I tried to partake in a local tradition of feeding the sacred deer in Nara Park. The deer are considered messengers of the gods, and I thought, what could go wrong? I bought some crackers to feed them, but instead of a peaceful interaction, I caused a minor deer stampede. I was chased out of the park by a herd of hungry, cracker-loving deer. Needless to say, the locals found it quite entertaining. Or how about the time in India, when I tried to participate in a local festival? I was handed a pot of colored powder for Holi, the festival of colors. Not knowing any better, I enthusiastically threw the entire pot into the air, only to realize too late that I was supposed to sprinkle it lightly over people's heads. The crowd was enveloped in a dense cloud of color, whilst I stood mortified amidst fits of laughter. And that's why, when trying to blend in, sometimes it's best to just observe from the sidelines. Trust me, it's less embarrassing that way, and a lot less messy. We've all had luggage mishaps, but this one takes the cake. Picture this. I'm strutting through the airport, feeling on top of the world, when suddenly my suitcase decides to have a mind of its own. It bursts open right there in the middle of the bustling terminal, and my belongings start to scatter like a flock of startled pigeons. It's like my suitcase had a personal vendetta against me, executing its revenge in the most public and embarrassing way possible. I mean, who knew a suitcase could hold so many grudges? And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, my collection of novelty socks decided to make an appearance. Yes, you heard that right. I'm talking about socks with everything from rubber ducks to avocados printed on them. And trust me, there's nothing quite like chasing after a rogue rubber duck sock in a busy airport terminal to humble you real quick. Then, of course, there's the frantic scramble to retrieve my scattered belongings. It's like a real-life version of a scavenger hunt, but with higher stakes and more sweat. There's the mad dash for my toothbrush, the wrestling match with a rogue turtleneck, and the desperate dive for my passport. It's a whirlwind of chaos and panic, all set to the soundtrack of my dignity slowly trickling away. And amidst all this, there's the grand finale, the pièce de résistance, my underwear. Yes, folks, my underwear, in all its polka-dotted glory right there in the middle of the airport for all to see. It's like a neon sign screaming, "Look at me!" And trust me, it's not the kind of attention you want. So next time you pack for a trip, maybe, just maybe, double check that your suitcase is securely fastened. Trust me, your underwear will thank you. Now for the grand finale, the ultimate travel fail. Picture this. You're all packed up and ready to go on a delightful day trip. Your bus arrives, you hop on, and settle down for the ride. As the bus starts moving, you pull out your guidebook and dive into the rich history of your destination. You're so engrossed in the tales of ancient battles and legendary heroes that you don't notice the landscape outside the window changing drastically. It starts to dawn on you that something might be amiss when the bus pulls into a station that doesn't look anything like the quaint town you were expecting. Instead, you're greeted by a bustling cityscape, with skyscrapers kissing the clouds and neon lights painting the night. Your heart starts to race as you frantically flip through your guidebook, trying to match the cityscape outside with any of the pictures in your book. But alas, no luck. You've ended up in a completely different city. Now that's what you call an unexpected detour. But hey, you're a seasoned traveler, right? You can handle this. So you put on your bravest face, step off the bus, and decide to make the most of this unexpected adventure. You explore the city, get lost in its labyrinthine streets, sample the local cuisine, and even make friends with some locals who are just as amused by your predicament as you are. You've turned the ultimate travel fail into an unforgettable experience. In the end, you manage to catch the right bus back to your original destination. By the time you arrive, it's late, and you're exhausted. But you're also grinning from ear to ear. Because let's face it, this is one travel story you'll never forget. And remember, no matter where you end up, every wrong turn is just another adventure. Until next time, safe travels. Or at least, try to get on the right bus. Before we wrap up, here's one last gem for you. You know, they say travel is all about the unexpected. It's about stepping out of your comfort zone, embracing new experiences, and sometimes it's about ending up at the wrong airport. Picture this. A seasoned traveler confident in his abilities boards a plane to Sydney. He's got his Australian slang down, his surfboard packed, ready to catch some waves at Bondi Beach, but when he disembarks, he's greeted not by the sunny shores of Australia, but by the chilly breeze of Nova Scotia. Yes, folks, he's landed in Sydney, all right. Sydney, Canada. It's a classic mix-up, a perfect example of the unpredictable charm travel holds. It's a reminder that even the best-laid plans can take a detour, but hey, that's part of the fun, right? And on that note, keep traveling, keep laughing, and remember, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single misstep. Goodbye, folks. That's all for today's hilarious travel fails. If you've had a good laugh and enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends. We're sure they'll appreciate a good chuckle. And hey, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Did any of these stories resonate with you? Have you ever found yourself in a similar pickle? And here's a little something for our dedicated viewers. Got a destination you'd like us to cover in our next video? We're all ears. Drop your suggestions in the comments. Do you want to hear about the funniest travel fails in Paris? Or maybe you're curious about the most bizarre cultural misunderstandings in Tokyo. The world is your oyster and we're ready to dive in. Until next time, keep traveling, keep laughing, and remember, the best stories come from the road less traveled. Cheers, folks!